G'day there everybody. Just wanted to show you some new ways to make homemade capacitors and homemade variable capacitors. Now I took some plastic cups, cheap stackable plastic cups, and I very carefully cut out some segments of foil to go halfway around. So when you put the cups inside each other and the foil's opposing, there's no overlap of foil, you get no capacitance. In theory, this one didn't quite work. I made the foil a bit long. With practice, I'm getting better at it. You will too if you want to make some. As you turn it round, like that, and the foil overlaps, the capacitance value increases. And you can stack them up pretty high. I've got some here I made with some bigger cups. I've just got a clear one on the outside so I don't touch the foil while I'm turning it. And we'll just put that on the capacitance meter for you. It's set in its most sensitive range at the moment, so it's displaying pictofarads, as you'll see if you are watching in HD. There you go. So right there we have 126.8 pictofarads, and if I just turn that around, you can see it goes down. And my hand is adding some capacitance by banging on it. A handle or something would be good, but when I take my hand off, we should hopefully see 0 on this one. There we go. So there's a homemade variable capacitor. It doesn't take very long to make. It goes from 0 all the way around to about 150, 160 pictofarads. Now what if you want to go higher than that? Well, you can stack up a few cups high. And to make them turn easily, I hope you can see that there, I've stuck some little bits of welding rod through the rims of the cup. To do that I just cut the welding rod short and heated it up and stuck it through there. I've done it on two sides of the cup. So as you turn, let's see if we can get this to work, as you turn the cup around, you turn first one cup and as it gets to the exact opposite point, it grabs the next cup. And they get a bit stuck, there's definitely work something out a bit better there, but you keep going round and it keeps picking up the next cups. So that just went from its lowest range to its fullest range very progressively. We'll show you that on the meter. I'll go back the other way. You'll notice I've connected every second cup. So all the odd cups and all the even cups are connected to each other. You could theoretically stack this up as high as you like. So I'm getting with all 4 cups with foil, plus a 5th cup on the bottom that's got nothing connected to it. It's just an insulator for my hand. So I can turn it. We're going from about 450. If I push them in a bit, that'll go higher. 480 pictofarads. I don't know if you can see that. As I turn this around, that goes down quite progressively. You've got a very fine range of adjustment in there, all the way down. My hand's not blocking that out. You need to have short leads for a good capacitance measurement, not much I can do about it. There we go. But as I keep turning that down, this one will go down to about 30 or 40 pictofarads, because again I made the foil just a little bit too wide. And there we go, we're all the way down. Well, it went all the way to 20 pictofarads. So you're wondering how to get the foil the right way around and how I've connected it. I did try soldering onto some of these. I think in some of these, if you look really close inside, if the camera will focus, you might just be able to see a solder in there. It doesn't go well. The foil tends to melt with the heat and the acid and stuff of the flux. Some of them, a lot of the soldered ones have been tearing off. I've been trying to keep the solder reinforced with some tape. But I think the best thing to do is just to tin your wires, because I think the copper and the aluminium and electricity is asking for some kind of galvanic reaction to take place. So just tin the tip of the wires, probably quite a bit longer than that, and probably make it at least an inch long. And just tape it in there. I just fold it over on some of the later ones, these ones, These are still soldered, but I've just folded the tape over so it's on both sides, and it really reinforces it when you've got the double tape like that. And that's just a single piece of tape folded around that way. And I'm probably not going to bother to solder any future ones. It just seems to weaken it, to be honest. I think you're better off just with a decent bit of wire overlapping and some tape holding it down. Now another medium you can use, it's really handy, household medium, is your old cling wrap. I took this can and just wrapped some cling wrap around it, and then wrapped some foil around the cling wrap, and that gives about 700 pictofarads. And if you leave it so it slides, it's also variable, although it doesn't go very low. But because it goes all the way around the bottom, there's only a little bit of corona effect at the top, which is where the energy leaches out. And it does hold quite a lot for its size for homemade capacitor. You could also, with this one, keep adding layers of foil and plastic and foil and keep going around, as long as you connect every second layer of foil. So you're sort of doing it in series. And one last test to show you, we will just do some discharge tests to show the discharge rate on these capacitors. So I've got this one set on low, I'll turn it around to high. Stuck again. Definitely going to have to work on that. Also, make sure you make these wires long enough to go all the way around. Mine don't quite reach, and it would be possible to tear them out if I wasn't careful. It's definitely something to fix up in later videos. I'll just bring it down here now. I have this multimeter set up. Get rid of that one. I did glue some of these foils onto the cups, but I'm going to go back to tape in later ones because the tape is easy to pull off and move them around and change them if you want to change things. Once you glue it on there, it's really hard to get it off again. So we have here a 1 volt battery, or it's about 1.08 of a volt in there. And I'll hook a multimeter which is set onto AC and DC true RMS because it makes it respond a lot faster that way. It does give a false reading sometimes though of about, that's 50, 60 millivolts on there at the moment. 1 volt would be if that first zero went to a 1. So I'm going to hook the multimeter up to my capacitor, and I'm also going to hook the negative terminal of the battery up to the capacitor. I hope you can see that. I'll just turn the backlight on for you. It won't stay on for long. Now when I touch this positive terminal on, it's going to charge the capacitor. There we go, so we can see we've got 1.078 volts in the battery, and that's also charged into the capacitor. Now let's see how long that charge holds for when I take this positive terminal off. And that's about as far as it goes. That's a pretty nice discharge rate, I reckon, for a homemade capacitor. Let's just do that again once more so you can see it. And we're up to full voltage about now. Still climbing a tiny bit. There we go. And discharge. Now I did test this commercial one that goes up to 260 pictofarads against one of my variables set to about the same. And the plastic cup ones actually do hold their charge a little bit longer. Although it's not a big difference, they both discharge pretty quickly. Some of the advantages to these though is because you've got plastic, which is dielectric material, in between your layers of conductor, I think you should be able to put fairly high voltage through them. It's going to come down to the temperature when the plastic melts, or when your voltage gets high enough that you can arc across these gaps here. But if you put your foil lower down inside the cups, then you could probably reduce that quite a lot. Now to make the foil, I actually cut out some cardboard templates that wrap quite nicely around the cups. Now there is a mathematical formula where you can measure up the cups and use a protractor and a ruler and mark it all out really nicely and you'll get it perfect every time. But I wanted to find a way that anyone can do it at home. So all I did was I took a single plastic cup, there's two, and I coloured it in with whiteboard marker all the way around the edge, all the way around that edge. Doesn't take long, colour it in all the way around. And then, when you roll it across your cardboard, it leaves a bit of a faint mark. It's not a strong mark, but it's enough, and if you roll it across carefully, it'll make the exact same mark that you need to cut out your foil. And you just wrap it around the cup, measure how far you need to go, put some marks on there and cut it off at that point. Mark it in half if you want to, although I found it's easier just to cut a full strip of foil and then fold that in half and cut it across the crease. There's lots of different ways you could go at it. But I'd be really curious if anyone's got any high voltage generators to see what sort of voltage these capacitors can take before they start to fail out. Thanks for watching.